The bright studio lights of The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon glimmered like a constellation of Hollywood dreams, spilling warmth over the iconic stage where countless celebrities had laughed, joked, and shared their lives with millions of viewers. Cameras whirred, crew members dashed between lights and teleprompters, and a low hum of excitement filled the air. It was an ordinary night on a show that had become synonymous with celebrity charm and comedic relief. But as millions would soon witness, this night was anything but ordinary. Tom Holland, the British actor who had become a household name as Spider-Man in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, was making his long-awaited appearance. Known for his disarming humility, infectious energy, and quick wit, Holland had captivated audiences worldwide. Tonight, he was expected to promote his latest project and entertain the audience with the same charm that had made him a favorite both on and off the red carpet. Cameras cut to the audience excited, laughing, and oblivious to the tension simmering just off camera. Backstage, the atmosphere was a mix of calm rehearsals and nervous anticipation. Crew members whispered about timing, camera angles, and cue lines while producers checked scripts one last time. Tom Holland adjusted his jacket, smiled politely to the stagehands, and rehearsed a few lines under his breath. On the other side, Jimmy Fallon, renowned for his improvisational humor and playful interviews, reviewed his own notes with a mischievous glint in his eye. As the house lights dimmed and the orchestra struck up the familiar theme, the audience erupted in applause. Tom Holland strode confidently onto the stage, waving to the cheering crowd. Cameras followed every step, capturing the sparkle in his eyes, the quick bounce of his energy, and the subtle signs of tension he tried to mask. Fallon rose from his chair, clapping in sync with the audience, and the exchange began with the practiced charm of live television. Light jokes, playful teasing, and rapid-fire banter. But beneath the laughter, something was off. Observers later described a subtle rigidity in Holland's posture, a fleeting glance of impatience, a tightness around his smile. Fallon, ever the host, tried to draw him into a humorous anecdote, but Tom's response, though polite, carried an edge of dryness that was easily overlooked by the audience, but not by the seasoned host. The first few minutes passed like a standard interview. A tension slowly coiled around the conversation, invisible yet unmistakable. Suddenly, a joke. Fallon's attempt at humor, a playful ribbing about Holland's superhero persona. A nerve. Holland chuckled lightly, but the laughter didn't reach his eyes. The audience, sensing a shift but unsure why, leaned forward in curiosity. Cameras panned to capture subtle micro-expressions. Fallon's eyebrows slightly raised, Holland's jaw tightening, a nervous ripple through the audience. In that moment, the dynamics of the show subtly changed, the easy rapport replaced by a delicate, almost electric tension. Narration cuts in. Live television is unpredictable. A single misstep, a single word, can transform laughter into silence. And on this night, that moment was approaching faster than anyone could anticipate. Holland tried to steer the conversation back to the film he was promoting, speaking passionately about his role, his co-stars, and behind-the-scenes anecdotes. But Fallon persisted, weaving humor into the discussion, trying to keep the tone light. The friction grew unseen by millions at home, yet palpable on stage. Every pause, every subtle inflection, every glance became magnified under the scrutiny of live television. The audience laughed at the surface jokes, but there was an unease that hovered, subtle yet undeniable. Then, the moment arrived. Fallon, in his signature energetic tone, delivered a line meant to amuse, but instead landed like a spark on dry tinder. Holland's eyes narrowed slightly, his posture stiffened, and his response, though calm, carried an unmistakable firmness. "I think we're getting off track," he said, voice measured, but the subtle edge was enough to pierce the comedic flow. Cameras caught Fallon's brief pause, a flicker of surprise crossing his face, and the audience leaned in, sensing a shift, but uncertain of its magnitude, that the tension escalated quickly. Holland's normally playful demeanor sharpened. Fallon's attempts at humor became increasingly pointed, and the conversation teetered on the edge of confrontation. Audience laughter gave way to murmurs of confusion, and the live energy of the studio became almost palpable, a silent anticipation of something about to erupt. The camera angles intensified, cutting rapidly between wide shots of the stage, close-ups of Holland's expressions, and subtle reactions from Fallon. Every gesture and glance was magnified, every breath loaded with potential drama. Backstage, production assistants and directors exchanged worried glances. One producer whispered, "This isn't going as planned." Social media, even during the live broadcast, began to stir viewers tweeting observations about Holland's unusual restraint, Fallon's persistent jabs, and the subtle yet escalating tension. By the time the audience caught on, the dynamics had shifted entirely. What was meant to be a light-hearted, promotional interview was now a moment of high-stakes interpersonal drama unfolding in real time. And then it happened. Holland, known for his professionalism, did something no one expected. He stood abruptly, the chair scraping against the floor, and with a polite but firm tone said, "I think it's best if we continue this later." The audience gasped. Cameras jerked to capture the moment. Fallon blinked, momentarily stunned. Crew members froze, unsure whether to intervene or let the live drama play out. The silence that followed was deafening, a stark contrast to the laughter and applause that had filled the studio moments before. Narration. For millions watching at home, it was shocking. For the audience in the studio, it was surreal. And for Tom Holland, it was a culmination of subtle pressures, unspoken frustrations, and the weight of navigating live television under the glare of global attention. As Holland exited the stage, the orchestra played a hesitant, awkward tune, attempting to fill the void. Fallon recovered with a smile, but the tension lingered, visible in the tightened muscles of his face, the flicker of unease in his eyes. The audience clapped politely, unsure how to respond. Backstage, whispers of disbelief rippled through the production team. Social media erupted instantly. Clips of the moment were shared thousands of times within minutes. Hashtags trended worldwide, and fans debated endlessly. What had truly caused the clash? Was it a misunderstanding, a joke gone wrong, or something deeper? Experts later analyzed the footage, noting subtle cues in Holland's body language, Fallon's attempts to regain control, and the delicate art of live comedic timing. The moment became a case study in celebrity dynamics, live television risks, and the unpredictable nature of human interaction under intense scrutiny. Narrators emphasized, a single night, a single interview, could redefine public perception of even the most beloved stars. The chapter closes with cinematic tension. A slow zoom on the empty stage, the lights dimming one by one, and the echo of applause fading into silence. Narration leaves the audience on edge. This was not just another Tonight Show appearance. This was a collision of talent, tension, and timing, a moment that would captivate millions, ignite debates, and forever mark the night Tom Holland walked off one of television's most iconic stages. The stage lights, the applause, the laughter of the studio audience, all of it masked a complex web of tension brewing backstage. While the viewers at home saw a smooth, polished set where celebrities joked effortlessly, the reality behind the ching velvet curtains was far more intricate. This was the world of live television, where every smile, every line, and every gesture was calculated, rehearsed, and scrutinized, but sometimes even preparation cannot prevent the unexpected. Tom Holland arrived at Rockefeller Center hours before his segment, his movements precise yet tinged with a subtle tension. According to sources familiar with the production, he was in an unusually contemplative mood that day. Holland, known for his professionalism and charm, spent more time than usual reviewing notes and adjusting his timing cues, while he laughed politely with producers and assistants. Those closest to him later noted a quiet intensity in his demeanor. He wasn't upset, one crew member recalled, but there was definitely a seriousness about him, a focus that was different from his usual light-hearted energy. Meanwhile, Jimmy Fallon and his team were orchestrating the show's signature blend of humor, games, and conversation. Fallon, celebrated for his improvisation and charm, had a reputation for teasing his guests playfully, sometimes to the point of pushing boundaries. On this day, Fallon reviewed Holland's previous interviews, brainstorming ways to integrate jokes, references to Marvel, and playful banter that would entertain the audience. The preparation seemed routine, almost harmless, but the seeds for tension were already planted. Backstage, the atmosphere was electric yet delicate. Crew members hustled through cables, cameras, and cue cards, their movements punctuated by hushed whispers about timing, camera angles, and audience reactions. One producer quietly mentioned that Holland had a packed schedule and limited time, while another reminded the team that Fallon's style sometimes pushed guests outside their comfort zones. The friction was subtle, almost imperceptible, but it lingered like a low hum beneath the surface of a perfectly orchestrated performance. Rehearsals commenced. Holland moved through the steps with precision, shaking hands with crew members and practicing his lines under his breath. Fallon paced lightly behind the cameras, chatting with the director, experimenting with intonation, and rehearsing his opening jokes. On paper, everything appeared normal, a seamless, professional preparation for a live audience. Yet insiders recall fleeting moments of unease, a slight furrowed brow from Holland, a pause in Fallon's laughter that didn't reach his eyes, the subtle tightening of a jaw. These small, almost invisible cues hinted at a brewing storm. Even the seemingly mundane details added pressure. The cameras, positioned at multiple angles, would capture every micro-expression. Audience cameras, strategically placed, would highlight reactions ranging from amusement to confusion. Lighting cues, sound checks, and teleprompter timing all. These technical elements converged to create a high-stakes environment where even a minor misstep could escalate into public scrutiny. Holland, aware of the stakes, reportedly spent extra time rehearsing responses to potential jokes, trying to balance professionalism with his natural humor. Sources also revealed that Holland had recently been under immense personal and professional stress. Between movie premieres, press tours, and fan events, his schedule was relentless. One assistant noted that the cumulative pressure might have contributed to a heightened sensitivity during live appearances. "Tom is usually very patient and funny," the assistant explained. "But when he's tired or stretched thin, even small jokes can feel heavier than they are." This context is crucial. While the clash on stage may appear spontaneous, it was, in many ways, a moment where external pressures collided with live performance demands. As the live taping approached, the tension became tangible. The audience began filling the studio, their chatter and laughter creating a vibrant yet distracting soundtrack. Holland retreated briefly to a quiet corner, adjusting his jacket and reviewing his lines once more. Fallon, meanwhile, interacted with the band and staff, maintaining a cheerful demeanor, but occasionally glancing toward Holland, perhaps sensing the subtle tension that no one in the audience could see. Crew members reported an unusual stillness during final preparations, a kind of calm before the storm, where everyone knew the night could unfold in unexpected ways. The production team also discussed the potential for sensitive topics. Fallon had a habit of mixing playful teasing with cultural references and personal anecdotes, sometimes crossing lines that guests may find uncomfortable. For Holland, whose public image is carefully managed and beloved for his sincerity and relatability. The stakes were even higher. Insiders noted that Holland was determined to present himself authentically, while Fallon aimed to elicit laughs and maintain the show's lively tempo. The resulting dynamic, two highly skilled professionals navigating live TV, created an unpredictable chemistry, a mix of anticipation, excitement, and underlying tension. Even the smallest cues backstage became magnified. A crew member adjusting a microphone, a producer signaling timing for the audience clap, a subtle hand gesture from Fallon. It all contributed to a delicate choreography where one misstep could change everything. Holland reportedly sensed this choreography and made micro-adjustments to maintain control over his energy, posture, and responses. Yet, as later analysis would reveal, these micro-adjustments were visible to Fallon, subtly affecting his improvisational style and escalating the tension in ways neither may have intended. By the time the cameras rolled and the audience cheered, all the elements were in place for a high-stakes encounter. Holland walked onto the stage, smiling and waving, while Fallon welcomed him with warmth and enthusiasm. Yet behind the smiles, a silent dance of awareness and caution unfolded. Each joke, each line of dialogue, each glance carried weight. And as live television has shown time and again, even the smallest spark can ignite a fire in a matter of seconds. Narration emphasizes the invisible forces at play. Backstage, a world of tension, preparation, and anticipation existed that the audience could not see. Every gesture, every word, every look was loaded with unspoken stakes. Live television is a high-wire act. Balance is everything, and the margin for error is razor thin. On this night, all the forces, pressure, fatigue, humor, professionalism aligned perfectly to create a collision waiting to happen. Even social media began stirring before the cameras even rolled. Fans monitoring pre-show interviews and behind-the-scenes photos speculated about Holland's mood and energy. Comments ranged from excitement to curiosity, with hashtags hinting at anticipation for the actor's appearance. Though the audience in the studio was unaware, the wider digital audience was already invested. In a sense, the stage was already set not just in Rockefeller Center, but across the globe, where millions were waiting to witness every laugh, pause, and reaction. And then came the quiet moments just before the spotlight hit. Holland took a deep breath, straightened his jacket, and mentally rehearsed his lines one final time. Fallon checked his notes and smiled at the band. Crew members adjusted cameras, teleprompters blinked, and the orchestra waited for the cue. It was an ordinary scene on the surface, but beneath it lay the tension of an impending clash. A delicate moment poised on the knife's edge of live performance. Narration closes the chapter with suspense. Every night, live television teeters between comedy and catastrophe. Tonight, the elements were aligned in a way that would test professionalism, patience, and public perception. Behind the polished smiles and rehearsed jokes, a storm was gathering, a storm that would erupt moments after the cameras rolled and changed the narrative of The Tonight Show forever. The cameras rolled. The audience cheered, unaware of the tension that had been quietly building backstage. What was meant to be a routine interview, the kind that flowed seamlessly for millions of viewers every night, was about to transform into a moment that would dominate headlines, spark debates online, and leave a lasting mark on the careers of both. Tom Holland and Jimmy Fallon. Holland entered the stage with his characteristic charm. His smile was warm, his voice light, and his energy seemingly effortless. Fallon, ever the consummate host, greeted him with applause and a playful comment about Holland's latest Marvel appearance. At first glance, it looked like any other. Interview laughs, banter, and the familiar rhythm of live television. But something invisible was shifting in real time. The micro-tensions we observed backstage now began to surface on stage, magnified by the spotlight, the audience's gaze, and the cameras capturing every nuance. The first few exchanges were innocuous. Fallon jokingly teased Holland about Spider-Man stunts. Holland responded with practiced humility, and the audience laughed along. But Fallon, pushing the envelope, in his signature style, delivered a line that would later be dissected frame by frame. He quipped, "So, Tom, any chance you've started thinking about a villain role? Or are you too busy saving New York?" A light-hearted comment on the surface, but in Holland's delivery, there was a subtle tension. He chuckled politely, but his eyes flickered with restraint, a signal to viewers at home that something was off. Fallon, noticing the brief pause, leaned in with a grin, attempting to maintain the playful energy. "Come on, you've got to admit. It'd be fun to see Spider-Man on the other side for once." The audience laughed, sensing humor, but Holland's reply was measured, clipped just enough to pierce the comedic flow. "I think we're here to talk about the movie, not my hypothetical evil twin," he said, voice calm but firm. The audience, sensing a shift but uncertain why, leaned forward. Cameras cut to wide shots of the audience and tight shots of Holland's. Subtle expression, jaws clenched, eyebrows slightly furrowed, hands tightening on his knees. The dynamics shifted. Fallon, unaccustomed to pushback from Holland, attempted to recover with a joke about Holland's dance moves from a promotional clip. But Holland, visibly frustrated yet maintaining composure, redirected the conversation to his work, clearly, signaling that he was unwilling to participate in the escalating teasing. Attention was electric, almost tangible. In a split-screen cinematic reenactment, viewers could see Fallon's raised eyebrows, Holland's tightened posture, and the audience's growing curiosity, a silent suspense, the kind that makes viewers lean closer to their screens. "Tom's not usually confrontational," one crew member later recalled, but you could feel a boundary had been reached. The air on stage changed. You could almost see the audience's laughter, faltering as something serious was bubbling under the surface. Every word, every micro-expression was amplified by the unforgiving scrutiny of live television. One mistimed pause, one misunderstood gesture, and the illusion of smooth entertainment could crumble instantly. And then it happened. Fallon made a quip that crossed a line, referencing Holland's recent press interactions with other co-stars' light-hearted gossip meant to amuse, but perceived as invasive by Holland. For a moment, the studio froze. The audience, caught between laughter and confusion, shifted uneasily in their seats. Holland's response, though measured, carried unmistakable authority. "I appreciate the humor, Jimmy, but let's keep the focus on the work. That's what I'm here for." The statement was polite but firm, a boundary drawn in front of millions. Fallon, whose improvisational style relied on the guest playing along, attempted to pivot, making another joke to diffuse the tension. But the shift had already occurred. Holland's patience, tested by subtle provocations, public scrutiny, and personal pressures, had reached a threshold. His tone carried an undercurrent of frustration, masked by professionalism. The audience could sense it. The laughter faded into murmurs. Applause became hesitant, and the live broadcast became a crucible of high-stakes emotion. A silence fell over the stage, brief but loaded. The cameras lingered on Holland's face, capturing a mixture of resolve, fatigue, and silent exasperation. Fallon smiled, attempting recovery, but the energy had changed irreversibly. Each word now carried weight beyond humor. Each glance held unspoken tension. The audience's reactions, captured in cinematic slow-motion shots, revealed confusion, concern, and fascination all at once. Social media, in real time, erupted with speculation, clips, and memes, even before the episode concluded. Holland, known for his grounded personality and composure, had made a decision in that instant that would define the evening. Rising from his chair with quiet decisiveness, he addressed Fallon and the audience. "I think it's best if we continue this later," he said. The simplicity of the line belied its impact. In a split second, the tone shifted from playful banter to near meltdown drama. Cameras jerked to capture the movement, crew members froze, and the orchestra attempted an awkward interlude. The audience gasped. This was not part of the script. In the aftermath of the moment, commentators dissected every angle: Holland's body language, Fallon's fleeting expressions, the subtle micro-tensions that had escalated to a breaking point. Experts in celebrity behavior and live performance noted that Holland's actions reflected a combination of professional integrity, personal boundaries, and acute awareness of public perception. "He maintained composure under extreme pressure," said one analyst, "which is why this moment became so compelling. Viewers could sense both tension and authenticity, and that's what made it viral." Meanwhile, Fallon attempted to regain control of the interview, smiling and laughing as if the moment had not occurred. But the subtle shift was permanent. The dynamic had changed. Audience applause returned, but it was measured, hesitant, layered, with curiosity and intrigue. Every angle of the cameras emphasized the tension. Close-ups of Holland walking off the stage, wide shots capturing Fallon's subtle flinch, audience reactions ranging from confusion to concern. Social media exploded. Within minutes, clips circulated online, hashtags trended, and fans debated endlessly. Was Holland justified? Had Fallon crossed a line? Did this change public perception of the host or the actor? The collision of live television, celebrity scrutiny, and digital amplification created a cultural moment. Within hours, news outlets were reporting on the clash. Celebrities were sharing reactions, and analysts were breaking down the scene frame by frame. Inside the studio, the crew scrambled to regain composure. Cameras cut to filler shots, producers whispered instructions, and the orchestra played a subdued, almost apologetic tune. Yet the impact of Holland's exit lingered. It was a masterclass in navigating high-pressure public interactions, an unplanned moment that revealed the fragility of on-camera dynamics, the weight of public expectation, and the human response to escalating tension. Live television is a battlefield, an industry insider later remarked. You rehearse everything. You prepare every joke. You anticipate every response. But the human element is unpredictable. And that unpredictability is what makes moments like this unforgettable. As Holland exited the stage, Fallon recovered. As best he could, maintaining professionalism and a smile, but the subtle cracks were visible. The audience applauded, yet uncertainty lingered in their expressions. The cameras lingered on the now empty chair, the microphone slightly askew, and the spotlight still shining on the stage floor, a visual metaphor for tension suspended, unresolved, and immortalized in real time. Narration emphasizes the cultural impact. The clash was not just a fleeting interview hiccup. It was a convergence of personality, stress, performance, and audience expectation. Millions witnessed it live. Millions. More dissected it online. What was intended as playful banter became a case study in boundaries, professionalism, and the unpredictable chemistry of live television. The chapter closes with cinematic tension. A slow pan over the empty stage, lights dimming one by one, audience reactions frozen in time, and social media notifications filling the frame. Viewers are left with anticipation. What would happen? Next, how would the public react? And more importantly, how would two of Hollywood's most recognizable figures navigate the fallout? The stage was empty, but the story had only just begun. As the stage lights dimmed and the applause faded, the world outside the studio erupted. While the live audience tried to process what they had witnessed, a highly unusual on-air departure, the millions watching from home were already reacting in real time. Social media exploded within seconds. turning a single moment on The Tonight Show into a global conversation. Clips of Tom Holland standing, excusing himself, and walking off the stage circulated instantly, each replay dissected frame by frame. Hashtags like hashtag Tom Holland Tonight Show, hashtag Fallon Clash, and hashtag Live TV Meltdown began trending worldwide, drawing attention from fans, journalists, and casual viewers alike. The reaction online was immediate and polarized. Fans loyal to Holland praised his professionalism, applauding him for setting clear boundaries in the face of teasing that had crossed a line. "Tom's so grounded," tweeted one fan. "He handled that with grace while millions were watching. Respect." Others criticized Fallon, claiming he pushed the humor too far or failed to read the tension on stage. "Jimmy Fallon should know when to back off," commented a prominent entertainment blogger. In a matter of minutes, the clash had ignited. A digital wildfire, with every major social media platform dissecting the interaction, debating motivations, and speculating about the actors' real relationship. News outlets quickly picked up the story. Within hours, articles appeared with headlines ranging from the sensational "Tom Holland walks off the Tonight Show, chaos ensues," to the analytical "Live TV lessons, how Holland's exit highlights the fragility of celebrity interviews." Entertainment journalists and television analysts began breaking down the footage in slow motion, pointing out micro-expressions, gestures, and the subtle cues that indicated escalating tension. Experts on body language highlighted Holland's jaw tightening, Fallon's fleeting raised eyebrows, and the audience's nervous laughter as evidence of an unusually high-pressure encounter. Beyond commentary, the incident sparked broader conversations about the pressures of live television, the delicate balance of humor and respect, and the public scrutiny faced by celebrities. Media psychologists weighed in, noting that Holland's response, calm, measured, and professional, was indicative of someone maintaining boundaries under intense pressure. "Live TV is unpredictable," one expert explained. "What appears as a simple joke can escalate rapidly if one participant feels uncomfortable or disrespected." Tom Holland's exit was a textbook example of maintaining personal and professional boundaries under scrutiny. The story also gained traction among fan communities. Online forums and fan pages buzzed with theories and debates. Some speculated that the clash was the result of a misunderstanding, perhaps Holland misreading Fallon's humor. Others argued it reflected a deeper tension, a subtle clash of personalities magnified under the pressure of live performance. Clips were edited, GIFs were created, and memes began circulating, blending humor with commentary on celebrity culture. Within 24 hours, the footage had been viewed tens of millions of times, shared across TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Entertainment. Reporters reached out to insiders for additional context. Crew members, speaking on condition of anonymity, confirmed that the tension had been noticeable backstage. "It wasn't obvious to the audience," one producer explained, "but we could feel it." Tom was calm, polite, but firm. Jimmy was trying to maintain the comedic flow, but the dynamics had shifted. Analysts noted that the rapid spread of the clip, amplified by social media, transformed a brief live moment into a cultural event, reinforcing the power and risk of digital amplification in the age of celebrity. The incident also sparked reactions from Holland's co-stars and the broader entertainment community. Several Marvel actors tweeted support, highlighting his professionalism and poise. Other celebrities weighed in, sharing their own experiences with the unpredictability of live interviews. Some noted that Fallon's style, while beloved for its spontaneity, could sometimes push boundaries, particularly with high-profile or intense personalities. The online discussion evolved into a larger conversation about the responsibilities of hosts, the mental and emotional pressures on actors, and the unpredictable nature of performing live in front of millions.